I have locked in the biggest investment loss of my life with Baillie Gifford American. I have given up on Baillie Gifford American as a managed fund to meet my investment goals. I have held Baillie Gifford American since 2020, so this is now 6 years later, and I have not been able to recover the money that I invested in Baillie Gifford American. If you look at my previous video, which I will link at the end, you can see where my mind was at that point in time. But given the lack of positive return, I've just decided enough is enough. I've held on to this fund for more than 6 years without the benefits that I expected. So I have sold my investment, my total stock on Hargreaves Lansdowne because I just couldn't take it anymore. And of course, I will share at the end of this video just how much I've lost in terms of cash. Now, Baillie Gifford American has not been performing very well. Depends on when you started investing. So I started investing in 2020, and initially I had some great return, but you can see from 2021 the loss was minus 55.3%. So that meant more than half the portfolio was gone. Obviously, through 2022, 2023, the return became positive at 25.23%, and subsequent years as well. So if you invested your money in 2022, you'd be like, oh, what are you talking about? Because you've probably got the gains. But of course, because I invested earlier, I have just been struggling to recoup my money. So in 2024, 2025, the return was again fantastic. But again in 2025 to 2026, and the last year, it's been negative. So at some point, I was at zero, and I thought we were on a recovery phase. So I could have sold earlier, in which case I wouldn't have lost so much money, but I just didn't have the patience anymore. I've been watching this fund, which is again against all the rules around investment. You should be investing for the long term. You shouldn't be checking your portfolios. Invest with the hope that things will recover. You shouldn't really be losing money like I have done. But I'll explain my reasoning, and maybe you'll understand what I have done and why, because I just couldn't take it anymore. So let's talk a little bit more about actually what Baillie Gifford American is invested in. As a reminder, this is a fantastic fund, as it were, but it's even been taken off the wealth list from Hargreaves Lansdowne, and that was the telltale sign. So top 10 holdings include tech giants Amazon, Nvidia, Cloudflare, Meta Platforms, Alphabet, Shopify, Guardant Health, Broadcom, DoorDash. I don't know why their biggest investment is Amazon, to be honest, but this is what the fund managers have decided to invest in. Of course, they've got a bit of Tesla as well. So if we look at the categories of investments for Baillie Gifford American, these are the sectors that they've invested in. So you've got information, technology, consumer discretionary, healthcare, communications, financials. You can see financials only 6.4%, industrials, real estate, materials, consumer staples, and of course a little bit of cash. So it is a managed fund, so there is some money that has to go towards this fund. The charges are 0.5% of the holdings. So of course, Hargreaves Lansdowne would normally charge a platform fee, but they have withheld it given the poor performance of this fund. This fund is an aggressive fund that is meant to give you high returns, but of course with high risk comes or high returns comes high risk. Um, it's there for the long haul, and they say you should be investing for at least 5 years. I've been with it for 6 years. So these are my own reasons why I've thought, okay, I'm not getting anywhere 6 years and I've lost money. I should have been further ahead. Okay, so I invested quite a lot of money, but you can see at minus 15%, I locked in that minus 15% loss, losing almost £900 by selling this fund. I obviously thought long and hard before I pulled the plug, but I believe I need to do what's best for me. Of course, I'm not a financial advisor, and I'm not in any way, shape, or form asking you or advising that you do what I've done. I'm just sharing what I've done with my own money. £900 is a lot of money, especially when you think of just how much I had in this fund. It's almost a fifth of what I had in total. So I'm hopefully going to get £4,600 from the almost 6 grand that I invested. So this is the reality of investment. Money goes up, money comes down, you can lose money. If I hadn't sold this fund, I could have held on longer, but I think 6 years is enough. I think I need to move on and look back on this. So what am I going to do? Am I going to just accept the loss of £900? It's also the opportunity loss that, it's not just this amount of money, but imagine what I could have gained over the last 6 years or the last 5 years and a bit had I maybe gotten an index fund like the S&P 500. Is the opportunity loss, is the total money lost. It's unfathomable. It is just disgusting. So what am I going to do in terms of recouping my money? What I'm going to do is to take this money and put it into my pension. So when I put it into my pension, I will automatically get 20% back. So I will ultimately, hopefully, be able to recoup the money that I have lost on Baillie Gifford. In addition, I am a higher rate taxpayer, so I will actually get 40%. So my hope is that obviously it will be delayed because I need to claim it back from HMRC and at the end of the financial year, so that is next year. But the bottom line is that I will get back 40% of this money. So if we were to work it out, that will be around 1,840 for 40%. And if I don't claim, I will automatically get around £920 in the next 6 weeks. So essentially, I will get back my money that I should have gotten, but the opportunity loss is just phenomenally difficult to accept. But I've accepted it and I need to move on. So that's the strategy I personally will use. So I don't feel like I will lose my money, as it were, but I'll be able to get it back through, the UK tax system and not necessarily lock in this loss. So this is why your pension is important. If you don't have a self-invested personal pension, think about how it's so easy, particularly if you're over 40. This is a good way of reducing your tax burden. Of course, there are limits as to how much you can save into your pension, particularly if you've got a workplace pension. You need to be careful about how much money you contribute into your SIP. Your total contributions, including the money you get back from the government, should not exceed £60,000 each financial year. So this is what my strategy is. So I hope that this video has given you some idea of the realities about investing. Let me know if you've got Baillie Gifford American and what your actions are. The best advice would be to hold and don't lose money. But as I said, I've explained how I'm going to go about not losing money. If you enjoy this video, please don't forget to subscribe, to like, and to leave us a comment down below. Till next time, bye-bye.